debate. And there we go, I even had to tell her that carrots up to the 17th century were actually all purple. How it became orange is a story for another day. But here's the poll, right? I'm going to give you two statements, and you're going to tell me which statement you agree with, and you can only choose one. Statement number one, the Earth's resources are finite, and therefore we have to reduce, reuse, recycle as much as we can, with the best use of technology, but respecting the world's carrying capacity. Alright, statement number two. We can always innovate ourselves out of any problems, so long as we got the resolve and the will to do it, and we can use the right technology to overcome that. Let me repeat. Statement number one, the world's resources is always finite, so we've got to reduce, reuse, recycle as much as we can, and use technology, but respecting the world's carrying capacity. Statement number two, we can always innovate ourselves out of any problems we are in. And as long as we use the right technologies appropriately and we have the resolve and the will, we can overcome any situation. How many agree with statement number one? How many with statement number two? How many think it's a trick question? So in his book, Charles Munn, Prophets and Wizards, raises two archetypes of how people look at technology. If you identify more with statement number one, you're likely to be a prophet. And if you identify with statement number two, you're likely to be a wizard. In my conversation with my friend, you don't need to be a genius to know who is the wizard and who is the prophet. But the wizard and prophet looks at sustainability in very different ways. Because sustainability at its core is to make sure that the world is a better place, or at least not worse off for the next generation. And that means adjusting our human activities, including business practices, to make sure that the future world is going to be better. I'm going to pose 3 questions here in my address as a framework to start discussions on how we can look at technology, business models, impacting the sustainability practices in your respective organizations. Question number 1, adopt, adhere, or avoid. I think as we look at different technologies that come up, business models for sustainability, we have to make a choice, right? Do I jump in early and be an early adopter? Do I wait for the industry to start establishing some standards before I adhere? Or do I just avoid because it's a waste of time? Let me give you an example. I'm deeply involved in the agri-food sector at Enterprise Singapore, and food companies are grappling with that because we all know that for the same 1 gram of protein, alternative proteins like plant-based meat is going to deliver much less carbon than traditional source meat. Consumers are beginning to demand for that. And if you are a traditional food company, what do? Do you jump in early into the bandwagon with the possibility of that stream of business cannibalizing the cash cow, so to speak? Do you see that it is inevitable and you better get in early? Or you wait? No easy answers. Question number 2, company-centric or value chain focused? I think it's easy to do something at the organizational level as part of your growth trajectory and part of showing your customers that you're interested in sustainability. But I think it's an altogether different thing for companies to come together and say we want to work on a common problem statement. Number 1, if you're from the same sector, you're likely to reap benefits of the economies of scale. But more importantly, if you look across your own value chain and start working out the complementaries, you may start to have different effects. And at its zenith, you could even achieve a circular economy in its very own right. Finally, third question, constructive growth or creative disruption? I think there will be disruptive technologies that will emerge that will change the way we look at sustainability. Energy is a good example. 10 years back in Singapore, energy companies were struggling whether we should adopt more solar energy. And if you look around, while we have a lot of sun, we don't have a lot of land. There are some companies that decided we will not take this seriously. We will continue to use natural gas as our primary form of generation and as our core business. And leave that out because it's going to be marginal at the sidelines for solar energy to be deployed in a significant way. Some companies have decided this is not just for sustainability, but it's a growth opportunity, and decided to build capabilities and even export opportunities that have changed the way they have operated today. So I pose these three questions. I do not have the answers, but I hope that it provides some food for thought as we listen to the discussions today. As we look at sustainability issues, perhaps using the lenses of the wizard and the prophet, and using the three questions as a framework to look at some of the issues we are discussing, it may generate new insights as we go back to our